Hello, welcome again to another session, and I'm very excited to have my brother, my friend, all the way from Anghan land, where he started. Maybe not Anghan land, maybe you're going to tell us even more about your background. So let me not get ahead of you. So I will just invite you at this point to tell us who you are. Whatever you want to say, you can tell us.
Oh, thank you very much, my brother who makes us proud. Uh, Thank you for this opportunity. So I'll go straight to the point. You were correct. My journey began, my journey as I can remember it, began in Fadan Kamantan. I was born in Kaduna, actually, at Hayim Banki, Kawo, Kaduna, there in the year 1981, in November, on All Saints Day, to be sure. And I lost my father at the age of 18 months.
Mm.
So my mother took ill and she was uh, taken to the hospital by her elder brother, who is today the Anghan. And after some years of trial, the hospital, he did his very best. It didn't work, so she was taken to the village of Agon, that is Fadan Kamantan. And of course, being the last child, I went with her. And that was how my journey began.
Mm.
Honestly, I wouldn't say I remember exactly what year it was, and it is something I need to find out, but it should be either 85 or 86. I began my primary school there. The interesting thing about my primary school, which I love to talk about, is the fact that nobody took me to school. I just wandered away from home. Our house is very close to the primary school. If you remember, in the village. So I wandered away from home. My mother was bedridden, of course, and then I found myself. We have some kids. We are singing one times one times two, two. One. I love the song, bro. I just loved it. So I thought it was music, man. Then I joined them under the tree. And that was how, after that, I had some introduction with at the principal's office, headmaster to be sure. And the headmaster asked me what my name was. But I didn't know anything about my father, so I told them my name was Emmanuel Elizabeth, and that was my mother's name. So they just knew that this must be the guy who had just come from the city to the village. And then they took me home because you could see my room, my grandmother's room, from the window of the headmaster. So they just knew I was the one and they took me home. So that was how it began. Then
Mm.
after that, I gained admission to GSS Kamuru Ikulu. I don't think you know this part of the story. I was excited about it. What it meant was that I was going to be trekking so many miles to school and back from school. But my elder sister was already at that time a teacher at GGSS Zonkua. So she didn't allow me to even register at GSS Kamuru. Let me take you through the long one because I wanted to go into the record.
Okay.
Very important for the sake of those who will, maybe even for my own sake, because I have never said it the way I am saying it today. And you have the obvious, you already can sense why I am taking my time to say this. Because where we are today, based on where we are coming from, it could only be God, could only have been God. Now, so I went to GSS Zonkua instead. So GSS Zonkua, I spent 1 year there, and then the idea of 16 model schools in Kaduna State came up. And one of the 16 model schools was GSS Fadan Kaji. The promotion exam to JSS2 that year, 1995, was the exam that was used to select those that will become the students for these special 16 schools. So I was fortunate to, not brilliant, but I was just fortunate to. I know how to do objective questions. I know how to pass them. So I passed those ones. So, and then I went to Fadan Kaji. From Fadan Kaji, I went to Kagoro. Maybe you don't know that I even spent a term in Kagoro, but I didn't like it. I was already a senior in SS2. Then I went to Kagoro. Kagoro and seniors were just bullying me. I was thinking, why should I come here and be bullied when I was already like a small god in Fadan Kamantan? So I went back to Fadan Kamantan and completed my secondary school. Didn't pass my exam very well. I came back to the same school because I knew I had no budget. I was in good terms with the juniors. So they accepted me. I completed my secondary school. I did the receipting and I passed the exam. I sat JAM. It was a late registration, but I passed it. I gained admission to ABU to study agricultural engineering, even though I applied for chemical engineering. Actually, I had no idea why I applied for chemical engineering, only that I knew we had refineries and I wanted to work there. So, but I ended up as an agricultural engineer. Throughout my time as a student, not throughout, up to 400 level, I was struggling to change my course to become. I didn't just like, something in me just felt that I didn't belong there. But I completed it. I graduated with a 2-2, you know. Then after 10, I went back home, I did my NYC in Imo State. Then I went to the Catholic Social Center where I worked for 7 years. After that, I was employed with the federal government as a lecturer at the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization. And after 10 years, brother, after 10 years there, I now decided that it will never be too late. And thanks to the inspiration that you have been to me. You have no idea actually, but our interaction through those theses that you gave me the privilege of going through, they were touching me. I could feel myself in what you were writing. I knew that this was the kind of conversation I needed to be having, not some DX, DY, something. I didn't just learn there. So you, for the first time, and I'm honest about this, I know this thing is going to go public. You were a huge inspiration to where I am today. And then I decided that I was going to apply to Notre Dame for peace and conflict resolution. You know that because you were one of those that wrote the recommendation for me. You would always be, and I didn't get in that year. I spoke with Father about it. He said, "Try again. Why not try Harvard?" I said, "See this one. I didn't get Notre Dame. You are talking about Harvard." But then I tried Harvard once, and here we are.
And the rest, like they say, is history, right? And yeah, and wow, what a story. To be honest, I'm not even sure where to start with your stories. It's truly a complete biography. It has humbled me in so many respects. For those who do not know, Anghan is the chief of Anghan land, or the chief of Kamantan. And something else you said, by the way, Emmanuel Elizabeth doesn't sound too bad.
But I'm from Ghana, so
it doesn't sound too bad. All right, since you landed, at Harvard, maybe we can continue from there.
wow.
Let's continue with the journey, because again, I can see that you are truly representing Harvard, from Fadan Kamantan, from 2 times 1 2, to what is going on now in Harvard. So what are you finding in Harvard or multiplying in Harvard?
I love what you said, from 1 times 1, 2 times 2. Here we are at Harvard, and 1 semester is already gone, and it's very humbling. One of the joys that I brought with me to Harvard is the lived experience behind it. I have a lot of experiences. One of the very tragic experiences that I had is something that you also share, which you shared very, very seriously in one of your doctoral thesis, when in that ethnographic research that you did concerning the crisis that we face in Southern Kaduna. And that was the Sharia crisis, which we all sadly experienced. And you remember my house was burnt in that crisis. And you remember also that in 2021, I had a very sad experience with when the 39 students from my school were kidnapped. I'm telling you this story because these are actually, they form the fulcrum of my application to Harvard. You were the one who told me that my first class or what have you will not really necessarily count in this part of the world. But what experience, what do I bring to community? What contribution I have made to community? Because I was thinking with a 2-1 agric engineer, how would I make it to a place like Harvard? I didn't know that all those things that I was doing for passion, for the sake of passion, that they were counted. Honestly, I had no idea. No idea. When you were telling me put this thing in the CV, I didn't tell you, but I was thinking this guy must be crazy. Why would I put things like this that have no connection with my field of study in my CV? But bro, those were the things that actually counted for me. I know my master's was very good, but you know again that I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. I just did it because I needed to be promoted in school. So that was why I went for the master's in agric engineering. But it also became another very important tool because it was weighed that if I could do a master's there and succeed at the level that I did, 4.1 or something, and it means I can do a master's here. So it was a very long journey. We started this journey even while my elder brother was alive. But I was afraid that I was not going to be able to leave father and come here. You know how committed I was to that course. So that father story is another story that I found a place in the application where they said, if you have ever been a caregiver to somebody, I said, how is this your business? This was my brother. I didn't know that that was very useful. 6 years, 3 months, and 11 days. I put it there. I put the detail of it because they asked for it. And all these things counted, bro. So I am here very humble. I am here challenging. There is something that you guys call, is it the imposter syndrome? But I felt it a bit, but there was something the professor told me that changed the whole imposter stuff. He said to us, stop insisting that you are lucky to be at Harvard. Harvard is also lucky to have you. Since that day, it changed my mentality completely. White who have been to some of the best schools, Columbia, Yale, and others that also talk about this imposter syndrome. But bro, from that first month of my encounter with the school and then that professor, who is of Mexican origin actually, that imposter stuff has gone. And all I am doing now is remembering that I am coming from a humble background. I'm coming from a community that needs a voice at the international level. And every simple opportunity I find, I make sure I make use of it. I'm careful in my choice of courses. I choose courses that have opportunity for me to be able to speak on issues that concern my place. That's Southern Kaduna, because for me, it is about getting here, getting educated and trained, and then going back home. For me, honestly, there is nothing that is sweet as home. So ultimately, I tell them in class, America, you don't need me here. You have 10,000 of my kind here, but we don't have 10,000 of my kind at home. So I need all the education and the exposure and the training and the connection. But by the mercies of God, at the right time, I will go home and then I'll put this into practice. Because people like you also, we are going to form a network. We are the work will be you. There was a day you once told me this, that maybe the salvation for our area will come from those of you who are from outside the country. I didn't know that I was going to join you very soon. But you.
Wow. Thank you for that inspiring story, talking about your influences in especially Kaduna State, Southern Kaduna to be precise, impacting your journey onto Harvard. So let's go back again to the place that it all began for you, and talking about the imposter syndrome. Certainly, while in Kaduna, and I'm sure you are still very much engaged in the everyday lives of people there. There are a lot of people. You have a lot of friends, followers, family members that you are in touch with. We don't know how you do it, but it speaks, to your person and your gift. And so a lot of people who know you, and I have spoken to many, would say you are an activist, you are a community builder, mobilizer, a social commentator, a spiritual guide, a mentor, an academic, just so many adjectives I could use to describe you. You are someone who doesn't shy away from speaking truth, to power. And one of these areas that you rightly hinted is security. You said that the security situation and sadly the Sharia crisis, which also affected your family, many other families that had to move from one part of Kaduna State to another, is still very much etched, right, in our memory.
Yeah.
And this has continued to inspire you to the point that you said Kaduna is a place you would love to, indeed, Nigeria and hopefully the entire continent of Africa, to return to and see how you can make your contribution. I want us maybe to talk a little bit about that Afaka incident, because that I think was something that not just spotlighted your work, but at the same time, it also revealed the irresponsibility of our state governments, of our leaders, of our security outfits. I mean, whatever their efforts to go in and kidnap university students in a context where, military or other security personnel were around, I think was quite disgraceful. But it was a situation that, you dedicated your life and everything to. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to commit yourself, to freeing, those students? And eventually, I think recently I heard that the main culprit was actually arrested or even killed in a crossfire with the security forces. So speak to us about that incident a little bit. Maybe that would provide for us a better appreciation of the security situation in Kaduna.
So the date was the night of 10th March or the night of 11th March 2021. I remember I was still with my elder brother at the Catholic Social Center. That particular night, I had taken him to a friend where he was going to spend the weekend. So I was alone in the room, and around midnight of that particular day, I had slept actually. Then I woke up around that time and I saw that I had missed more than 50 calls. I was wondering what could this be? Then I saw the particular name that I saw was the name of a person that I knew whose younger brother was in our school. I was worried, but I discovered that the time that the call had came was not up to 15 minutes from the time that I saw it. So I returned the call. And that was where I got, no, I went to Facebook. I said, if a call is coming like this, maybe I can find an idea. I can have an idea from Facebook, because there is a way I read what is happening just from Facebook. So I went on Facebook and I discovered, hey, students have been kidnapped. I knew what it was about. So I called this lady and I said, can you tell me exactly what is happening? And she told me what is happening. So then can imagine waiting for 7 hours with this kind of heavy news to just go to the school. So immediately the day broke and I went to the school and I found the school was already militarized. There were soldiers, there were police, and I saw the then Commissioner for Internal Security, Tamila Arwan. I saw them there as well, and then I knew exactly what had happened. 39 of our students had been kidnapped, and they were taken away to the bush. And I was troubled because I knew all of them by name, you can imagine. So it was really terrible for me. I stood there wondering what it was that needed to be done. I was imagining so many crazy things because I knew the kind of people that these guys were. So while I was there, they called. They used the phone number of a lady called Jennifer, and they called the school. They confirmed that they had the students with them. It was very important confirmation that they had them and they were all the number, what have you, was very important so that we knew, we would know exactly how many students we are missing and how many we are injured. So after the military and the commissioner and the police left, they left the parents crying, rolling on the ground. So I was asking myself by the side, what if one of these women was my mother? What if I was one of those taken to? Then I saw the students with placards, many of them by the side with placards. They were, of course, students will always be students. They wanted to demonstrate, but they didn't know how to begin it. So I was looking at them from a distance and I was thinking, these guys they know what to do, but they don't have somebody to lead them to do what they needed to do. There is something you must know about Nigeria. Nigerian government, those elected into offices, they know exactly the right thing to do. I can assure you today. They all know what to do. They are only, the reason they are not bothered about doing it is that they know that today, if 10 people go on the street and demonstrate that this thing should be done, before nightfall, 100 people will go out and say there is nothing that needs to be done, everything is fine. So if you are an elected official and you are sure of people that will defend you for doing nothing, why should you be in a hurry to do anything? But honestly, if all of us, if Nigerians can insist on the right thing, these people know exactly what the right thing to be done, what it is that needs to be done, and they will do it. Their only consolation is that we are divided. So I look at this young men and women, and then the next thing I did was, but I was thinking again, what about my job? In the moral leadership class, where I talked to you about this deontology and consequentialism, I am seeing so many things that are explaining to me what exactly it was that I did. This role conflict, right? So I was thinking, come on, if I lose my job, so what job is it? How much do they even pay? If I lose my job because of this, I will go on social media, make a big noise, and then they will get tired of me. Because it is going to be it's going to be that I'm losing my job for standing for the truth. But the lives of 39 students as against my job, which one is even greater? So the next thing I did was greatest Nigerian students. Then they shouted, great. Bro, that was how the journey of 55 days began. We went on the street, we were singing the song. I didn't know where they come from or where they came from, but I was singing the song, until everyone is free, no one is free. One for all for one. When do you want them now? What do you want? Free Afaka 39. We have all this stuff. That was what we did. We caused serious hold up on that road to the airport. And because it was a major road, and then of course you know that our school is very close to where you go to the train station. So we blocked all those places. And the reason was very simple. We needed to get the attention of the government. And we got the attention of the government after about 2-3 hours after the traffic gridlock. They came and they addressed us and they assured us that they were going to do something. And then every single day I would go to that school. We will go to the mosque. This is something you must pay attention to because of the kind of study that you do. We'll go to the mosque, all of us, and pray. Then we'll go to the chapel, all of us, and pray. Then we will now head to the street. I'll send you a video But I didn't know that somebody recorded that video where I was telling the students that where did we go today? The mosque. What did we do? We prayed. Did it matter who was Muslim and Christian? No. Where are we now? Chapel. What do you want to do? Want to pray. Does it matter who is Christian? What did you lose? Our students. They are taken. Yes, they were taken. Is it important to you whether they are Muslim or Christian? No. What is important is that our common humanity has been attacked, and we have to do together. I didn't know how profound that thing was until I came here. And I was looking at that video and I said, wow, thank God for the grace to do what we did. So we did that. And for 55 days until we got, remember, we went to the National Assembly as well. We went to the National Assembly and we had Adeyanju. You know, Adeyanju is one of the great organizers in Nigeria. We had, who is this presidential candidate of ADC? What's his name? Omole Showore. Join us. Join us as well in that protest. And interestingly, just the day after, the rest of the students were released. Whether it was coincidence or it was due to our going, it's not important to me. The good news is that they were released. But unfortunately, let me even tell you something. When we went there, by the time we went there, 17 students had already been kidnapped again from Greenfield University. You remember?
Yes.
And 2 of them had been killed between the ages of 17 and 19. And because of my activity with respect to the Afaka, parents of these other students were just calling and calling. I felt humbled, nothing more. I felt humbled that the little thing I was doing was getting that kind of a recognition. So when we went to protest for the Afaka 39, we also included the Greenfield 17.
Wow.
Assembly, yes.
I mean, as you were talking, I was just thinking that when we talk about peace building sometimes, we tend to think that it entails a whole lot in terms of resources, money, right? As well as material resources. But from your story, it is so clear that with the right set of people, with, like-minded people who believe in the same principles, a lot can be achieved, right? And the case of the Afaka 39 is truly a shining example. And exactly. To you and all the activists and those who join hands to get this student to be released, we congratulate you. And in fact, hopefully, a lot of people listening to you would have taken a cue. I like that you mentioned you would go to the mosque and pray and go to the chapel and pray, right? Sure. It shows that at a basic level, we can all do things together. If we could drop our sentiments, our bigotry, our ethnic politics, religious politics, and grandstanding, we can truly achieve. And it doesn't take much. It just takes some bit of courage and who is ready to put their lives on the line. And sometimes it's that courage that, would make the whole difference. So thank you. That is truly a wonderful story. And when you say you're going back, indeed, you have already started. There is no way you can't go back, to lead a lot of people who need this kind of leadership. I also forgot to mention that you are a writer. I know that you've written a few books, books that also touch on some of these issues that you've already discussed, issues of peace, of conflict, but also of spirituality. And you have, I think, also a Facebook page where you encourage people and pray together. So maybe it's something you can tell us why and how you started that and how it is going. And the books also, I think there is Food for the Soul. There is the Southern Kaduna Dream Wakes Me from Sleep. Yeah. And there is one about also the lessons from your brother's journey during his illness. Exactly. So maybe you can speak a little bit to your writing and as well as your Facebook community.
Yeah.
I would be happy.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on those. I forgot to tell you that during the Afaka struggle as well, that there are other media outlets that I need to thank, like channels, television, like TVC, and there is this other one in Lagos that I also have forgotten the name, but I thank them because they gave us opportunity to be able to speak. But the smart thing I did that time was that I refused to identify in each of those appearances as a staff of the school. I identified as a public affairs analyst. I was a concerned citizen, so that nobody would use that against me. So that was what I did. And I'm glad that in the end, everything went well. And some of the students have graduated. Some of them are now serving. Some of them have served. Some of them are graduating soon, and all in all those different categories. So that's it. With respect to the social media, I joined the social media, Facebook. I created a Facebook account in the year 2009. And all I had at the time was to give some inspirational posts. Of course, Facebook is a place where you grow in, it's a community you grow in, and if you have something to offer, people will follow you and learn from what you're offering. So I remember I go back to some of the posts that I made in 2009, 2010, even early 2011, that laid their fallow. Nobody paid attention to them because I was an unknown quantity. Then I joined Gurara Forum, where it is strictly a community of Southern Kaduna sons and daughters, and they share ideas there. They share it is like a pressure group for the struggle. It represented at the time the face of the struggle of Southern Kaduna. It was a powerful group, which Vincent Bodam was the founding chairman, and the current director of the Board of Internal Revenue, Jerry Adams, was the secretary, the founding secretary, and barrister Gloria Balason, that powerful barrister from Fadan Kamantan, Anghan, that Anghan is very proud of, was the legal advisor. Now, I started there, and there was this Dr. John Damfulani, who was that time a very prolific, a very towering figure of the social media and of the face of the struggle, fearless, and sometimes even very fearless, even to the point of being imprudent. So he was actually the one who, there was a series he was running, and the series was about shut the hell up. So one day, I was not comfortable actually with shut the hell up. So one day he gave me an opportunity to write on that series. And then I wrote, speak the hell up. And I wrote something, the Macedonian call for unity. I think I will find it and try to share with you so that you see how I came to limelight. He was the one who highlighted me. And from that day, I became a known quantity. And then, of course, I had started doing the just before you fall asleep and just before you step out prayer, which I have now done, actually. I have now done it for like 14 years straight.
Wow.
The only time that I did not post in all these years, we had times that the owner of Facebook and his team members sanctioned me and put me off Facebook for whatever reason.
For praying.
Yes, no, not really for praying, actually. Sometimes I post that they say violates community standard. I don't know that if you look at it from your experience, you will know that some of the things that they call violation in our area are actually things that are necessary for us to promote what we are doing. So these cultural clashes makes it very difficult for us to have an internationally unified a standard where you agree that if this one is violates here, it violates there, it violates everywhere. And well, that is okay. We keep learning. So I continued to do that. And then, of course, I started the Food for the Soul. It's actually a Facebook group that we started. And then it was from the post that I was making that I wrote that book, which you edited, about 400-page book, which is actually many people are testifying that the book is really helping them. Some of them said that they use some of the spiritual components of the book to do their meditation. Somebody in Pennsylvania, actually, that I sent the book to, was telling me that it's a Jamaican but an American, and I'm happy to know that. And of course, there is something you didn't know, that in the year 2000, during the coronavirus lockdown, that I founded a foundation that I call Servants for the Needy Foundation.
Right. No, I know about it.
Oh, Servants for the
Yeah.
Yeah. But let me say something about it so that people who may be inspired as well. Being the son of a widow, raised by a widow that I saw struggling to feed us, I was moved during the lockdown, knowing that most of the widows, I am concerned about widows because for orphans, you have orphanage, where orphans are usually taken care of. There is this empathy towards orphans, but these orphans, what about widows? And you, community where we are coming, the society is one that it is not, there is nothing dignified in begging. So they live with their struggles and they go through a lot. So knowing my mother's story, I just felt while that lockdown was going on, if these people hardly find something to feed themselves from their petty business that they go out to do every day, and they eat based on what they get per day, with the lockdown, what are they going to do? So I put it out, and yesterday it was 4 years exactly that I put out a notice. I said, I want 100 servants, those who contribute 1,000 naira per month, so that we identify 10 or 20 different widows who have need, and then we support them. And we started that. I had more than 100 people, but I knew from my experience that people get excited at the start of something, and then the energy will be dropping down. So I was not in a hurry to do anything. But anyway, it is 4 years now, and it is still going, and it is a register. It has been registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. I know that, at Harvard, you people are very busy there. I'm also mindful mindful of your time, but I could sit here all day, to listen to you, as well as learn from you, from the environment whence you came from. And what you've been sharing are really quite useful in terms of our awareness of the issues there, the social, economic, the cultural issues, but importantly, what we can do. So there are a lot of young people who look up to you for inspiration. I know you've already shared so many things here today that are quite inspiring. Just by way of concluding this conversation, for those young people who are lost, right, who have given up hope on the community getting better in terms of ethno-religious relations, but more so now in terms of the economic situation. You talk about starting an organization for widows. We know things are really difficult for people around the world, and even so in communities that have been struggling, right, before the current state of the global economic situation. So are there some inspiring words and even things that you could highlight to a lot of these people who look up to you and who will listen to you, today in all these areas by way of conclusion?
So I want to also say before I say that here, because of my age, 43, I'm not a kid. I'm not that Johnny just come guy that came to Harvard and is getting lost. Came to Harvard. I have had my own formation. Just one refining where possible and help them to refine themselves where also they need to be refined. I'm not here to submit to anything and have a total change of what I am or who I am. I'm here to learn and to also teach. And in doing that, I have been meeting young Nigerians. So many of them, bro. Young Nigerians or at the college. You know, Harvard has about 13 different schools. So the college arm of the school, of the university. And I talked to them about what is your thinking about Nigeria? And honestly, they are excited about the country.
Mm.
But the stories that they have been told and they read about the country does not inspire confidence. Some of them, and not just Nigerians, honestly, even the whole of Africa, anybody that is from the continent, I talked to them about this. I said, what are your plans after graduation? And most of them are thinking about staying back here. See, that is the problem. This is exactly what the problem is. You are so many here. I'm not exaggerating, but there will be about 100 Africans in the college. Right. So I keep telling them that if we can synergize from here, if we can see, let me say something before I forget. I met somebody from Kenya who is at the Harvard Business School. He said he has worked here at the Silicon Valley for 11 years. I asked him, what will you do after? He will be graduating May this year. He told me that, brother, it would be an insult for me to be employed by another person after graduating from Harvard. I'll be going back home because I have worked at the Silicon Valley. I'll be going back to Africa. That's where I am needed the most. I'll start something there and I will employ other people. Wow. So I keep sharing with these young people. I said, do you know that your generation can be the change that we need? So that's the advice that I'm going to give every young person, that if you have lost hope in the generation that is ahead, can you be the breakaway? Can you be that generation that will break away from the norm, from the status quo? Do you meet young Nigerians out there in Canada? And imagine that these young Nigerians in Canada also have a kind of a forum with the Nigerians here at Harvard and other universities in the United States, and they begin to think about building Nigeria. Most of the technologies that we are seeing, the breakthroughs that we are seeing today, some of them started here at Harvard, with people thinking small, and then before you know it, in the end, something very big like Microsoft and other things, and even, you know. So what I'm telling them is what I want you to also begin to tell young people there, that they should be thinking about home, synergizing, thinking about the things that can be done right, and let their generation be the generation that will break away from this cycle of lack of performance and incompetence.
Wow, wonderful. Actually, let me advertise my book project. I'm working on a project on home and belonging, but specifically this time around, home and return. Why people go back to where they come from.
I love that.
If there is a place to go back to, and why people should go back. Home is broadly defined as well. And some people who, for example, may feel that there is no point returning because they have invested a whole lot of resources outside. There are definitely so many ways people could return, given the investment you talk about, the coming together of like-minded minds, and reaching out and even visiting every now and then and seeing areas where they could intervene in. So thank you very much for a truly remarkable, but also quite humane and personal conversation. I think you really delve deeper into yourself to give us the best, today. So we appreciate it. And we also wish you the very best in all your endeavors, and especially so in your studies there at Harvard, and even subsequently, wherever you would like to move next. So thank you, and we will certainly be in touch, and hopefully we would hear from you again soon.
And I think I have spoken to my brother, my friend, who is Ikulu from Kaduna, Southern Kaduna, of course, and he's Reverend Gambo.
Right.
I think maybe you would need to contact him so that he also, because he has a lot as well, as somebody who has an IDP camp that he founded, and the work that he does with the internally displaced persons, you will find him also a very useful resource.
All right. Thank you for that recommendation. Certainly, Pastor Gambo will be here
Thank you.
sooner rather than later. All right. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Stay warm.